Hello, my name's Dylan Dambaugh. This is Team 6, Amazon, where we're going to talk about how the current tariffs are affecting Amazon, their business model, and just go into depth on a few different topics that we'll cover in the next slide. So, for a quick overview of what we're going to cover throughout this presentation, first, I'll be covering how is Amazon affected by these tariffs. Then we're going to go into Amazon's valuation. We'll talk about risk reduction strategies that Amazon can take to minimize the effects on tariffs. And then we're also going to talk about the impact on stakeholders. Specifically, it's going to be shareholders, employees, and management. So the first direct effect here is the B2B business Amazon has with China. China accounts for 70% of the goods that Amazon sells on their platform. So this 145% tariff is going to raise their product costs undoubtedly. Now what will happen is they're either going to choose to eat the costs or pass it on to consumers or a combination of both. Regardless, it's going to decrease their profitability because either they eat the cost and it dives into their margins, which are already thin, or they pass the cost on to consumers, decentivizing consumers to buy because products are no longer as cheap as they used to be. So either way, we're going to see some cut in the profitability. Now, it's might not be as bad as people assume because the whole industry is going to feel effects, not just Amazon, since everyone buys from China. But regardless, everyone's going to be making less money. So the next direct effect we're going to see is going to be on Amazon sellers, which are a really important facet to Amazon's business. The reason is because they make up about 60% of Amazon sales. So having this 145% tariff, like I said before, is going to increase product costs. Now, the implications are a little different, but it poses the same question as it does to Amazon of increasing retail price and passing costs to consumers or eating that cost. So if the sellers do this, so if the sellers decide to pass costs to consumers, they'll lose Amazon accolades like Buy Box and Amazon's Choice, which I describe in the paper. If they don't do this and they choose to eat the costs, then sellers are going to lose profits just like Amazon would. But also, Amazon itself is going to lose money because they're losing profits on referral fees. Amazon sellers are going to stop using advertising things because they're trying to cut costs and make their margins better. They're going to stop using AWS services. So Amazon sellers are going to lose money, but Amazon is also going to lose money since the sellers are losing money. Like I said, even if they wanted to change to a different supply chain, it's costly and it's going to take time. So lastly, we're going to talk about AWS, which is Amazon Web Services. It's a cloud computing service that Amazon provides to all different businesses, corporations, government agencies, everything along those lines. So the reason this is an indirect effect is that tariffs don't directly affect the price of AWS. But there's still effects that the tariffs are going to have on AWS indirectly. So companies may stop spending and investing as much into cloud computing and data because of the economic uncertainty that we're facing with the tariffs. And on top of that, sourcing components that may be normally sourced in China that are used as hardware for AWS operations could also get harder. So they could see some supply chain disruption for AWS here. Now, this could become a direct effect, specifically if these exemptions on fuel are lifted, then it will become a direct effect because the operational costs to run AWS centers is going to go up exponentially because fuel is no longer exempt from tariffs.
Getting into Amazon's valuation, based on our valuation models, the stock's intrinsic value is calculated to be $272.30 per share, indicating the company's projected fair value based on projected cash flows and growth assumptions. As of today, the market is pricing the stock at $186.60 per share, which presents a significant discount of over 30% relative to its intrinsic value, suggesting an undervaluation. One of the key headwinds is the uncertainties surrounding tariffs, which are expected to reduce margins and directly affect future cash flow projections. Lower profitability translates into weaker free cash flows, which can lead to a downturn in valuation unless costs are controlled or revenue increases elsewhere. The current depressed market price likely reflects investor anxiety around rising input costs, ongoing tariff negotiations, and broader macroeconomic uncertainty. Higher tariffs mean any future cash flows could decline. That would reduce Amazon's ability to be able to invest in new ventures. With higher tariffs cutting into future cash flows, Amazon may face constraints on funding for growth initiatives, including expansion into new markets and potentially their AI technology as well. The CEO has already announced in his note to shareholders this year that the business plans on allocating over $100 billion to AI technology, which has some investors skeptical. This could potentially slow Amazon's long-term innovation cycle and reduce its competitive edge if reinvestment is scaled back. Investors could view Amazon as a riskier investment. As cash flows get tighter and cost pressures rise, investors may start to see Amazon as a high risk investment, particularly in light of some of the instability that we're seeing with the tariffs and supply chain issues from places like China, which provide a large portion of the inventory that is sold by Amazon. There are implications outside Amazon's first and third party online retail services. Although Amazon's web-based services are not subject to the tariffs, the consumers of those products will feel the fallout from these tariffs. So the AWS service provided by Amazon, as well as some of the AI technologies that they provide, are at risk of feeling some fallout from the tariffs as companies also feel a shift in their revenue. So AWS and Amazon's marketing revenue could see losses from less discretionary spending from the consumers that utilize those. Some of the declines we've seen in Amazon's valuation are unrelated to the tariffs. As I had touched on previously, the CEO announced that the company plans to spend over $100 billion on capital expenditures this year, which did not fall well on current shareholders. They're spending a lot of that money rooted in AI, believing that the time to attack that field is now. The CEO has expressed his belief that the demand is there and that the need is now, and that he believes AI could be the biggest thing since the internet itself came onto the scene. So a lot of money being spent in AI, and there's not a lot of good feeling about it from investors. Amazon's been here before, will likely be here again. 2008 proved to be a tough time for Amazon. They fully recovered and bounced back by mid 2009. We're in a similar situation now, so I anticipate the same to be true for Amazon. Future looks bright despite the current economic climate. Tariffs will likely be resolved. They've been pushed back a time or two by the Trump administration, and it's in everyone's interest for those negotiations to come to a close. Amazon's diversified its revenue streams enough to remain on an upward trend with other giants of the economic world, and there is an antitrust lawsuit that I believe could hurt the future of Amazon. It was brought during the Biden administration during 2023 by the FTC, and 17 states have also sued Amazon for monopolistic efforts. With all that being said, I do think that Amazon is here to stay. It's one of the staples in the economy, and I think that they will make a full recovery regardless of what happens with the tariffs overall.
Next, we are going to talk about risk reduction strategies of Amazon. This will include both what Amazon has done so far in response to the news on tariffs, as well as some suggested strategies that Amazon could take. As an e-commerce site primarily comprised of third-party sellers from around the globe, Amazon will see a significant impact on product pricing due to tariffs. As it currently stands, nearly 1,000 products have seen price increases on the retailer's website, averaging 30% in response to retaliatory tariffs of up to 145% on Chinese imports. While these costs will mostly be passed on to consumers as prices rise, sellers will see reduced profit margins, and this will also reduce profit margins for Amazon overall. One strategy to reduce risk that has begun to be implemented by both buyers and sellers alike is stockpiling inventory. Amazon has noticed that some consumers are purchasing ahead of tariff implementation to try to avoid price hikes. Sellers are doing the same. According to Forbes, sellers were beginning to stockpile inventory back in November of 2024 before the tariffs would take effect. Amazon has followed suit in terms of strategic forward inventory buys, as well as renegotiating terms with sellers across the platform. In addition, Amazon launched Haul, a new shopping experience targeting price-conscious consumers with items under $20. This direct response to competitors like Temu came alongside an unusual decision to freeze seller fees for 2025. Amazon will have to consider other strategies to reduce the risk of tariffs, creating rising costs and reducing profits. While Amazon is best known for its marketplace, the company also offers a variety of technology-based products and services that it could lean into to hedge against the impact of tariffs on the retail side of its business. While Amazon has multiple subsidiaries, choosing to finance those that would least be impacted by tariffs, such as those primarily engaging in cloud computing like Amazon Web Services, digital streaming such as Amazon Prime Video or Twitch, or expanding its use of artificial intelligence through all of its products and services. There are still other strategies that Amazon can implement to try to reduce risks in the marketplace. For one, Amazon can further strategically adjust their pricing structure by considering increasing the price of Amazon Prime memberships to increase Amazon's profits directly. While this could reduce memberships initially, Amazon could offer exclusive membership promotions to offset this, such as digital rewards. Amazon could also consider supply chain diversification to try to limit the impact of tariffs by choosing more suppliers from countries with lower tariffs. This could present a challenge in terms of sourcing and manufacturing, but could also result in increased profits. Lastly, as an extremely large U.S. company, it could lobby for more favorable trading conditions. These strategies could reduce the risk of decreased profits from rising costs of tariffs.
Today, we'll be discussing the impacts of tariffs on corporate stakeholders, specifically focusing on the shareholders, management, and employees. As global trade policies evolve, tariffs can cause major ripple effects inside organizations, thus influencing business strategy, financial performance, and workforce stability. Management must take a proactive and adaptive approach to navigate tariff-related challenges. Strategic planning becomes crucial. Leaders must rethink sourcing, pricing, and logistics to maintain profitability. Some may shift production to countries outside tariff zones or invest in legal and policy resources to mitigate risk. Success in the environment depends heavily on management's ability to quickly pivot and protect both the organization and its people. Employees often experience the trickle-down effects of tariffs. Rising operational costs may force companies to cut expenses, which could mean lower wages, fewer benefits, or even layoffs. Morale can suffer in uncertain environments, and global companies might need to relocate employees to regions less impacted by tariffs. These disruptions create real stress for the workforce and can hinder productivity and retention. Shareholders are particularly sensitive to changes in trade policy. Tariffs can drive up costs, leading to sudden stock price declines as markets react to uncertainty. However, some investors may see opportunity in undervalued stock during these downturns. If tariffs persist, reduced earnings could lower long-term returns on investment. Ultimately, trade instability translates into market volatility that directly affects shareholder confidence. In summary, tariffs influence corporate health on multiple levels. Shareholders see fluctuations in value, while management faces pressure to adapt to strategy, and employees may deal with job insecurity or changes in the workplace. Understanding these impacts can help companies respond with resilience and agility in an unpredictable global economy.